Hey everybody, welcome back to James Draws Everything, and I'm excited because today we are starting a new series on the Draws Everything series. We are going to be drawing the big boys of baseball. Hey James, why big boys? Well, these guys, as we get to know them, as I progress here, I find that these guys are like the heart and soul of America. Everyone on this list is going to be tipping the scales at well over 300 pounds. And today, our first one that we're drawing is going to be John Kruk. All right, John Kruk, who is he? Probably most known for his time in the Phillies, part of the 1993 Macho Row when they made it to the World Series. And that's when I first kind of became aware of who he was. Kruk did start out for the Padres in '86, went to the Phillies in '89, went to the White Sox in 1995 before finishing up his career. And he still is involved in baseball. I believe he commentates, does color commentary for NBC Sports in Philly. He's a West Virginia boy. And yeah, very just good old red-blooded American. He said he never locks the door on his house, living in West Virginia. And how big was John Kruk? Well, in 1993, when he was at the height of his career, I'd say he was probably maybe about 310 pounds, give or take. He batted .316 that year. And yeah, I remember when he was doing the media rounds for the Phillies, they were talking about his eating habits, and he mentioned what his breakfast was. His breakfast was hot dogs. He'd eat 3 hot dogs with ketchup, and that's about as red-blooded American as you can get. So yeah, we're just drawing his face here. Just kind of penciling it in first where I want stuff to go. And John Kruk did come out with a book in 1994, I believe, and it was called "I Ain't an Athlete, Lady." So he was notorious for saying, hey, I ain't no athlete, I'm a baseball player. So, he made it to the World Series, so he's got to be considered one of the best in the world as far as baseball goes, for that particular year. But never called himself an athlete. He was a baseball player. So yeah, he's got a bit of a gut here, tucking it into his uniform, and just give him his arms. And he's got one of the jerseys here where he's wearing the long sleeves underneath. And I'm going to be drawing a few of these, so I'm kind of sectioned them off here, almost like a baseball card. What do you call it? Not frame, but proportions. So kind of like a baseball card here. And then he is holding his bat behind his back here. And Kruk, I don't know how good he's gonna run at the the 40-yard dash or anything, but in 1993, when the Phillies were at their height, at the Macho Row with Kruk, he batted .316, so the dude could hit. And there was a game where he was quoted, he almost got brained with a 98-mile-per-hour fastball from Randy Johnson. And Kruk, being a big guy, he feigned a heart attack, and he said that guy's going to kill somebody. And because he's fat, he got away with it. All right, so that's John Kruk. And I'm just going to do the Phillies logo. Yep, hot dogs for breakfast, West Virginia. Kruk probably likes his beers. James, would you have a beer with John Kruk? Do you think he'd be fun to hang out with? Abso-frickin-lutely, I would have a beer with John Kruk. All right, so I've got everything kind of where it needs to be as far as my proportions here. So I'm just going to start the little blue stars and the Phillies logo over the eyes. And Phillies colors are kind of difficult because it's like it's not really a red, it's sort of maroon. But I'm going to do that by starting with a red. So we can always build up and make it darker later. Just get your base red down first, and then he's got a lot of folds. And actually, because I want to make the folds really pop out here, we're going to use a fat marker. So you know what I'm drawing here if you've ever seen a baseball game or ever worn anything like this. It's kind of tight, but it's also loose at the same time. All right, and then the same on the other side here. It's got the seam kind of going up the middle. All right. And then while I got the red out, I'll put the stripe on his jersey. And then we're also going to go over that with like a little bit of a darker red. So it's kind of dark under here where the shadow from his jersey hits. And let me just get that Phillies logo. And I always love drawing logos because a lot of my stuff, it's very cartoony. And so I kind of always had an eye for branding, just kind of communicating things in like simple terms. You think of some of the most iconic like American logos and stuff. They're not too complicated. You just kind of immediately recognize them by the colors. So that's why I kind of like baseball uniforms and football uniforms and hockey uniforms and basketball uniforms, because they're all kind of like that. Alright, so the helmet is going to be a little bit shinier, so I'm not going to use the fat part. I'm just going to, so I don't run over the P, I want to leave that white. We'll just do a quick outline of that and then just fill that in. Okay, so he's got white over here, so and the helmet is shiny, so we're going to leave that part white and just kind of do some real thin lines to suggest that this is somewhat not like reflective, but the sunlight's hitting it. Okay, and here's where he's got his ear protection here to protect him from those Randy Johnson fastballs from the big unit. James, are you going to be drawing Randy Johnson on your Big Boys of Baseball? No, because Randy Johnson does not meet the criteria for this category at all. He's probably one of the ones who least meets that category. What is he, like 6'6"? Skinny as a rail, but damn, that dude could throw. Okay, so as you see, I'm just sort of building it up as I go, leaving some white marks for where I want that light to hit, and kind of just goes to the edge there. Alright, and don't lose that Phillies logo in there. Make sure that pops out. Okay. Alright, and he's got, I forgot this part here. So you see part of his number. You see the 2 on his sleeve. So we'll just color that in. And then I want to go with the contours of where my folds are with the thin one. Just to kind of, give it some depth there. So it's always kind of darker where the seam is down the middle, so just kind of drag those out. Same thing on his other sleeve. We're just gonna add some more depth, add some more color to that. And it looks pretty good. Okay, and then he's also got underneath his jersey where it buttons up here around his neck. Yeah, so John Kruk, very charismatic big guy, Big Boys of Baseball. That's why he's got a color commentary gig. I'm sure he's probably fun as hell to hang out with. Another funny John Kruk quote. I think when the Phillies were, again, real popular, doing all the media rounds in their lead up to the World Series, he said that Roseanne Barr should play him in a biopic if they ever made a movie about John Kruk's life. He wanted Roseanne Barr to play him. That was when Roseanne was still bigger. I know she lost a lot of weight like fairly recently, but yeah. So John Kruk, funny guy. Lady, I ain't no athlete. I'm a baseball player. Okay, so I got a little bit of that darker maroon in there, and I'm liking that. I want to hit it even darker though, so I've got like this is almost brown. Let's see what that does though. Oh yeah, there we go. Get some depth in there, and just kind of get the real dark parts in his helmet with the brown. Then I can always go over this again with some more reds. But yeah, just really get those shadows in. And again, if you need to, I keep telling you guys I'm not doing this from memory. I do have a picture in front of me. You just can't see it. But if you ever need to know, where to put your shadows, squint your eyes and look at the picture. Because if you just look at it just real quick, you kind of get overwhelmed by details and all that. So squinting kind of makes you focus on just where the shadows go. So if you ever kind of run into issues and you're not feeling it, give that a shot. It works. Okay, so Mr. Kruk's helmet is almost done. Okay, now I have an orange here that I'm going to use for his face. So his face is under the helmet, so it's going to be shadowed a little bit, but I just want to get my dark parts in first. So, of course, he's a big boy, so his eyes are almost look like they're shut from having a chubby face. And he's got a good old boy goatee, good old West Virginia redneck goatee. We're gonna give him some of that, and then we're gonna go over that again later. He's got his kind of fat rolls under here, and his ear, and then his hair is kind of like a light brown. He does have a pretty badass mullet, John Kruk. I don't think he still does, but he had one of the best mullets in baseball history, as you can see. Okay, and let me just get his hands too. So he's kind of doing like the Ravishing Rick Rude pose, although as a fat guy, which, hey, self-depreciating humor. You gotta love the big boys for that. And then just shadow in his hand a little bit. Okay, and he's got a glove on here, so I'm actually going to take kind of like a really light blue. Actually, that might be too dark. Let's try this one. We'll do a really light blue for that glove. It's a white glove. Just kind of give a little bit of a suggestion of white without just leaving it white. It kind of has like a light blue shadow to it. Alright, I think that works. And then I want to get my very light brown for my baseball bat. I'm going to bust out a darker brown too. You can kind of see where I started drawing it. Well, hopefully you can see. I know the pencil lines are pretty light. But yeah, we'll do his bat. So his bat he's holding. So that's going to be a light brown, and it goes behind his head, and it's very dark here, and I don't think that's really a shadow. That's more just kind of the grain of the wood, and then the shadow kind of goes down. So now I have my main shadows in. I'm just gonna kind of just give that some grain, some wood grain, and bring it behind the back of his head. And then we're going to take a darker brown, and I'm going to use my fine, and I'm really going to start laying those shadows in. So yeah, just kind of quick scribbles. Again, it's a baseball bat. It's not smooth. Well, I mean, it is smooth, but it's got a lot of it's wood, right? It's got a lot of texture to it, a lot of character in there. So there we go. We don't want to be clean with that. We can just be kind of sloppy with the lines. And speaking of sloppy, let's get that mullet in there. All right, get in, color his goatee a little bit, give him some shadows. If you're ever doing facial hair, it always helps to use more than one color. I mean, if you look at your own hair, you know, it looks very different depending on how the light hits it and all that. So okay, and I'm gonna get in there as well, get underneath his nose. Alright, and so I've got that pretty much where I want it to be. I'm just gonna give him just like a light skin tone here. I'm gonna work it up a little bit. We're just gonna get that down. It's just kind of our base. Leave some parts white. Okay, I'm gonna take that orange again. Where the heck did that go? Here it is. Alright, and we're just gonna go with the shadows here. So he's got shadows under his eyes, shadows under the helmet. The bridge of his nose is under shadow, or this part is going to be left a little bit white, and then just kind of just keep going with that. And again, just quick short lines for texture and shadow. And get back under there. We can always make this darker. I know it looks a little light right now, but we'll get back to that in a minute. Now let's start hitting his jersey a little bit. So with his jersey, I'm going to use that very light blue again, and I'm going to use my fine. And I don't want to just start enveloping everything in blue, but I just want to give just some real quick lines for where my shadows be, okay, or for where my shadows are, where they be. What are you talking about, James? All right, so just kind of go over that part, and he's got some darker shadows in here, and we're going to hit that with another color after that. Get that gut. All right, and he's got buttons on his jersey, and the buttons are obviously going to be darker because they sit into his uniform. Okay, and then here it's just going to be, you know, underneath his shirt's tucked in, so he's going to have shadows on the bottom. That gut, that big 300-pound gut, giving some more shadows. And he's also got just one big shadow over his shoulder here, right, because the light's hitting his head. And casting that down. Alright, let's do a couple more, and then we'll leave the seam down the middle white. Okay, so just give him a couple more wrinkles in there. He's coming together. Okay, and now I'm going to take one of my darker browns, and I'm just going to go in and sort of really detail that face. I'm going to give his eyes a little bit more character, give a lot more shadow in there. It's always dark under the eyes, especially if you're wearing a hat or a helmet. So you see I'm just kind of being loose with my drawings. I'm not really just coloring anything in. I'm just going kind of scribbly. And then let me get like a gray, and I want to make some of them uniform shadows pop out a little bit more. So this kind of, see, now it looks more like it's supposed to be white. You know, it's never, you're never going to see just white. You know, you're going to see a little bit of colors and reflections and stuff depending on where he is outside, what he's wearing, the other colors that are around him. But yeah, so that just makes it look like, so it's not just a white color. Okay, we can do the same with his glove. Alright. And let's hit those hands a little bit more, because he's got some pretty dark shadows on the hand from where it's not in the light. Okay. And then let me see, where's my peach color? We'll do that. And as you can tell, I don't use the skin tone right out of the box. Okay. Or I don't know if these come in a box, the package, whatever you want to call it. When you're working with skin, you know, a lot of different colors kind of factor into that. So I'm going to hit him with some reds too, just to kind of give it just a little bit more depth up there where his eyes are. There he's coming together. Alright, and then skin also kind of has some purple into it, so I'm going to use like a really light purple and just going to go over some quick contours here, just to make my shadows just a little bit deeper. Get under there. Now you can really see those shadows kind of under his helmet, under his eyes. John Kruk, no athlete. Alright, I just want to hit some more grays here. And I can kind of just drag some little lines out there. Alright, and pretty much close to being done here. Let me just get one of my graphic pens out and just kind of go over it with some blacks to make those details come out, make his goatee a little bit darker. So you're starting to see a little bit more depth in there. Alright. It's important to leave that part kind of white right here, because he's got like that little band around where his jersey is, and I'll do the same thing on the other side. Again, my style, not hyper realistic, very cartoonish, so I use a lot of those kind of techniques as far as like my textures, my lines. I do like working loose, so again, a lot of this is kind of just quick and sloppy a little bit, but I am paying attention to where I want everything in the end. So I do have a plan. We're not just winging it. Okay, so I got most of my stuff where I want it to be. Just with the Phillies logo, I might just kind of, I'm not going to outline everything, but you know, it does have like, it's almost like any logo. You know, you got like the white border around the colored part, and then when that's stitched into a uniform, you know, you're going to see a little bit of that, like where the light makes that pop out like a shadow. Same thing with the number on his. Okay, so let's just do a little bit more. So his pants, probably need to hit them with a little bit more of a gray, just because they're darker. Just, you know, the sun's on top, so it's hitting them down there. Alright, so it's still white, but it looks like it's just got a shadow, so that's good. John Kruk also, I guess when he was a Padre, he had a roommate that apparently was committing robberies somewhere. When that came to light, I guess he said it really threw him off in the 90, I think it was like the 98 season, or maybe it was before that, I can't remember. Kruk also, unfortunately, lost one of his baseballs. He did have testicular cancer, if I can say that. So, sorry to hear that, John. But I hope you're doing well. You know, a diet of beers and hot dogs, it's going to catch up with you eventually. But, yeah, you see John lately, he's still a big dude. He's a lot bigger than he was in his heyday. But he's still hanging in there. So, props to John Kruk. Alright, so I think we're pretty good here. Now, I'm not going to do like a super detailed background, but we're just going to give them like a quick sky suggestion of the sky. So we're just going to kind of, just so it's not blank. And again, this is just, whenever you're drawing backgrounds, you want like your front figure to pop out, you know, you don't do details, you know, you leave your details for whatever you're looking at in the foreground, right? So this can just be sketchy lines here. So there's some of that. We're going to bring our green down to the bottom just to kind of give the illusion of that being like the ground where it meets the sky. And it's just, again, real quick. It doesn't take a lot of skill or talent or whatever to do this. I'm just doing quick and easy just so it makes our eye think that there's a background there. And then I just want to get some lighter blues and hit the top part. Make sure I bring some of those lines up to his helmet so it looks like he's not just floating, like, and he is part of whatever is in that background. Okay, and then I just want to, let's see, I'm going to take my purple, where is that, take a little bit darker purple. I just want to give him a couple more shadows under here, under where his eyes are. There we go, that's nice and dark. And under there. And then maybe with my orange, just so that he doesn't look like he's got jaundice or something, just kind of just bring some more lines out there to give him that skin tone. Alright, everybody, that's John Kruk, and an artist's work is never done, so I can't help myself. I just keep seeing things that I want to touch up a little bit, but you get the gist of it. We're pretty much done. So who else do you want to see in the big boys of baseball? Remember, this is not the heavy hitters, this is the big boys, because we're going to have some pitchers, we might even have some umpires on this list. So let me know who you want to see, and don't forget, like, comment, and subscribe. And as I'm you can't mess up the mullet. I got to get his mullet right. There we go. Now that looks good. All right. Like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget, I will see you on the next video.